Hey y'all, Chris Cooking Nashville here. I've got something special for you guys today. This is a keto pumpkin pie.
Yum.
My wife is very, very excited. How much do you love pumpkin pie?
Almost as much as I love Jesus.
Yeah. This is the day after Thanksgiving. We're actually filming this for you guys either next week or sometime when this is going to actually go up for you guys to see. For Thanksgiving yesterday, a little someone over here might have had some pumpkin pie that her brother brought of not keto.
I did.
So she just tried the real stuff, if you will, yesterday. So it'll be very interesting to see what she says about this one, because she's never had a keto pumpkin pie that I've made at all. This is a brand new kind of thing. She has no idea what this is gonna taste like.
Sounds good to me. Okay, for starters, it looks better than the real thing. And I like how it's brown just right there on the top. I mean, it definitely holds and looks like a pie. Also smelled amazing. I came in when it was in the oven. Get out. Get out of here. Wow, that is really, really, really good. I think this may taste better than the actual store-bought pumpkin pie that I ate last night. The crust is it's definitely a hard crust. It's not super hard. It's not stale. It's the perfect amount of a little bit of a crunch. Mm-hmm. Your pumpkin pie filling is so well seasoned. Flavor in every bite. I know pumpkin can be kind of one of those things where it's not very flavorful on its own.
Right.
But the way that you have it seasoned is absolutely perfect. That is really good. I'm going to just eat this whole piece now. That's incredible. The best pumpkin pie I've ever had.
Well, that's pretty big praise coming from someone who loves pumpkin pie as much as she does.
I love pumpkin pie.
Now, there's some strange ingredient techniques going on here.
Don't tell me you put hot dogs in this pie.
No, there's no hot dogs in the pie. No hot dogs in the pie.
Okay.
But there are some different approaches to making this pumpkin pie than you've probably seen anybody else make with a pumpkin pie. It also makes it very high protein because it's not just pumpkin in there, so you're getting less carbs because you're not using as much pumpkin. You like it? Let me show you guys how we make it and what kind of secret technique and ingredient we're gonna use. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is mix up our pie crust, and here's all of our ingredients. And this is my preferred way to do it. There's a number of ways out there, but this is what I like to do. So we're gonna crack 1 egg into a bowl, and then we're gonna add in 3 tablespoons of melted butter and 2 teaspoons of beef gelatin. I'm gonna sprinkle that around to avoid clumps. You can use a ½ teaspoon of xanthan gum, but I think gelatin is better. So we're gonna put all of that into one bowl, and we're gonna start to whisk this up. Now that beef gelatin, as it dissolves, is going to make this thick. So we're going to also add in 3 tablespoons of water, just so we can thin this mixture out, so when we go to use it shortly, it'll be a little bit easier to work with. Now in a separate bowl, we're gonna put our dry ingredients. We have 1 cup of loosely packed coconut flour, 1 cup of loosely packed almond flour. You could do all almond flour, but I think half the coconut flour is great. We're gonna add 20 grams or about a ½ teaspoon of allulose to help it brown properly, and about a teaspoon of monk fruit erythritol mix sweetener. Whisk that all together really well because we wanna make sure that there's no lumps, bumps, or clumps. Then we're gonna take our wet mixture and put it into the bowl with the dry mixture. And I'm just gonna use this spatula to fold this around a little bit because we need to start getting it all coated. And then once we do that, we're gonna use our greatest kitchen tool, our hands, to squeeze and combine all of this. We're gonna keep working this in to make a dough to create our pie crust. Now I'm pressing this into the bottom of the bowl using the main chunk of dough to wipe up all of the crumbs, and then I'm gonna squeeze it together into one ball, one main mass of dough. That's gonna be our pie crust dough. Now what we're gonna do is put it into a Ziploc bag, or you can wrap it in plastic wrap, and we're gonna stick it in the refrigerator to rest while we start working on our pie. Now we're gonna melt in a skillet for our pie 3 tablespoons of butter. We're going to take 1 small can of pumpkin puree. There is nothing in this except pumpkin. We're gonna start cooking that in with this butter. It's just gonna help us roast the pumpkin, and then we're gonna add in 4 eggs. This is the secret ingredient. We are making a pumpkin scrambled egg mixture. We're gonna put in a pinch of salt. That's gonna help break that down, and we're just gonna keep stirring this around, combining the eggs and the pumpkin. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. It's gonna make that nice pumpkin pie flavor. Continue to cook this all together. And once all the eggs are really well cooked, we're gonna put this into the carafe of a blender, and we're gonna turn this into a nice, smooth mixture. So I'm gonna add 3 teaspoons of beef gelatin. That's gonna help this set up. That's 2 ounces of cream cheese and about 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. And then we're gonna add in 4 to 5 teaspoons of this monk fruit sweetener. You can use more or less to your taste, and then 1 teaspoon of allulose to help it brown. And we're just gonna blend this smooth. I'm gonna start it on low and then turn it up to high so that we can get a really nice, smooth mixture. This is going to be a very jiggly pumpkin pie mix. Then we're going to add in a little bit of egg white powder because this is going to help it bake up. So that's 2 heaping teaspoons. It's probably about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. It doesn't have to be exact, but we're going to blend that in, mix this into a bowl really well so we can stir this around. Just make sure there's no lumps. This should be nice and smooth, and it's going to be warm. Now we're going to take a pie plate and we're going to set it on top of a couple of pieces of parchment paper. We're going to sprinkle 1 piece of parchment paper with coconut flour and put our dough from the refrigerator on there, put a little more coconut flour on top, and lay our second piece of parchment paper on top of that. We want the parchment paper to be bigger than the pie plate. So we're going to press that down, take a rolling pin, and start to roll this out. Turn it 90 degrees, roll it, and we're just going to keep doing this back and forth, turning it 90 degrees and rolling it in all directions. We're looking to get this about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch thick. We need it to be bigger than our pie plate. And if you get little broken spots, that's okay. It's going to happen. We're just going to take extra broken pieces and press it back together. Once this is bigger than our pie plate, we can flip it upside down. Now you can see it cracks, and that's okay because that beef gelatin is not warm right now, so it's going to want to crack. So we get that all pressed in there. You can see I've got a little extra pie dough left over. And then I'm going to dock the bottom of the pie crust. I'm just going to use the fork to put some little holes in it, and this goes in to a 375 degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes until it starts to brown around the edge. This comes out, and you can see that is a beautiful looking pie crust. We're going to let that sit and cool. After about 10 minutes of cooling, we can go ahead and put our pumpkin pie mixture in, and we're going to smooth this out. Now, this is not going to change much once you bake it, so if you want it really smooth looking on top, take the time now to make it smooth. We're going to shake it around, jiggle it in, make sure there's no air bubbles, and then we're going to cover this with aluminum foil, and we're going to put this back into the oven at 375 degrees for about another 15 to 20 minutes, and it's going to be ready to come out and looks absolutely fantastic. All we have to do is cut up a slice, plate it up, and have Ash taste it to enjoy. All right, y'all, that is the pumpkin pie. Now, I told Ash that I was gonna be making a number of recipes with that whole scrambled egg pudding idea. I don't think pumpkin pie was one of the ones that she thought I was gonna use that for.
Definitely not.
Any of these kinds of like creamy textured pies, I think that's a really great way of doing it because you bulk up whatever the thing is that might be higher carb, like pumpkin, or you know, if you were doing some kind of a sweet cream pie that was just pure dairy, or you know, whatever, you can use this technique and you can kind of bulk that up some. You get a lot of the protein and you get high fat. Like I used cream cheese and heavy cream and that kind of stuff in this. It is very possible, I haven't tried it yet, but it's very possible you could just do the eggs and the pumpkin and the sweeteners. You might be able to do a completely dairy-free pumpkin pie. I think that that is a very possible thing to do. You could maybe add like a couple of raw egg yolks at the end before you bake the pie. That's very possible. So, and that pie crust, looking pie crust.
One of the best pie crust I've ever had.
Well, there you go, guys. That is the keto pumpkin pie. That's if a carnivore wanted to have a treat for a holiday and they were going to let themselves be a little more keto, this would be a great way to do it because it's still super high protein and has a lot of things in it you would recognize as a carnivore. I think you could also probably do this in little muffin tins with muffin paper, and you could do it without the crust. So if you're worried about the oxalates that come with like almonds, you know, if you're someone who's really sensitive to that, you could do this probably as little pumpkin muffins. You could have little pumpkin pie muffins with no crust. Lots of options. That's the keto pumpkin pie made with the scrambled eggs of all things. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We've got a lot more cool recipes coming. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure to hit that like and share thing for me. I have links down below for a Patreon and a Buy Me a Coffee, and you can also join YouTube memberships. Those are some ways to support the channel. This is all done because of people just like you supporting us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My other links are all down below as well. I appreciate every single one of you. This is Chris Cookin' Nashville and my lovely wife, Miss Ash Taylor. Eat your meat, sometimes your pumpkin pie. Love your life, and we're gonna see you right here in the kitchen for the next recipe.